Chapter 1, The Rules We Live By. Trent Williams liked the quiet part of the morning, the part before anyone needed anything from him. His apartment was still, the coffee maker burbling softly as he buttoned his shirt and checked the time. He wasn't a morning person in the enthusiastic sense, but he appreciated predictability. It gave him space to think without the world tugging at his sleeves. By 8:57 a.m., he walked through the glass doors of the office building with the same easy stride he always had. People greeted him as he passed, and he returned each hello with a smile that never felt forced. "Morning, Trent," Melissa called from the break room, already clutching her mug like it was a life preserver. "Morning, Mel. That mug's getting bigger. You planning to swim in it?" She laughed. "Don't tempt me." He grinned and continued on. He liked the people he worked with. They liked him. It wasn't complicated. At his desk, he tapped the keyboard and glanced at the framed photo beside his monitor. Him and Katy at the botanical gardens last spring. She was laughing in the picture, sunlight catching her hair. He liked that moment. He liked her. Their relationship had been steady for a year now, and he appreciated the calmness of it. No games, no drama, no rushing. He'd learned the hard way that rushing only led to confusion. His phone buzzed with a text from Maya, one of his 3 childhood friends. "Maya, saw a dog today that looked exactly like the one we tried to rescue in 5th grade. Except this one didn't try to eat me." Trent smirked. "Trent, that dog hated everyone. You were just the closest target." Another buzz. "Maya, rude. Also, we haven't seen you in forever. I'm filing a missing persons report." He typed back, "Trent, still alive, still in a relationship, still following the rules." The rules weren't written anywhere, but they'd lived by them for years. When one of them was in a relationship, the others stepped back, not out of obligation but out of respect. Opposite-sex friendships could get messy if people weren't careful, and none of them wanted to risk what they had. They were family, and family didn't create unnecessary tension. He missed them, though, missed the chaotic energy they brought. But he wasn't the kind of man who said one thing and did another. Respect mattered. He set his phone aside and dove into work. Hours passed quickly, the way they always did when he was focused. Around lunchtime, he stepped outside with a sandwich and sat on a bench near the building's entrance. His phone rang. "Katy." "Hey," he answered, smiling at the sound of her voice. "Hey," she said lightly. "I forgot to tell you something earlier." "What's up?" "I'm grabbing coffee with Mark from my team on Saturday. He wants to bounce some ideas off me for a project he's pitching." Trent paused, not out of shock but out of recognition. The situation was simple. She was meeting a man alone for coffee. He didn't feel jealousy. He didn't feel anger. He felt clarity. "Saturday morning?" he asked, keeping his tone easy. "Yeah, shouldn't take long." "Okay." She didn't sound nervous or guilty. She didn't sound like she was testing boundaries. She sounded like someone mentioning weekend errands. "You doing anything Saturday?" she asked. "Not sure yet," he said. "I'll figure it out." "All right, I'll text you later." "Sounds good." They hung up, and Trent finished his sandwich slowly. He wasn't upset. He wasn't imagining worst-case scenarios. He simply understood what her choice meant. She believed private social time with another man was acceptable. If that was true, then the rules of their relationship were different than he thought. He didn't intend to punish her or make a point. He didn't intend to sit home alone while she spent time with someone else, either. Fair was fair. By the time he clocked out, he'd made a decision. In the parking lot, he opened the group chat with Maya, Elise, and Jordan. "Trent, pool day at my place Saturday. Noon. You in?" Responses came fast. Elise, "Yes. I thought you joined a monastery." Jordan, "I'll bring snacks. And sunscreen. And emotional support." Maya, "I'm already picking out a swimsuit." Trent chuckled. It would be good to see them. When he got home, Katy was curled up on the couch with a blanket and a bowl of popcorn. She muted the TV when he walked in. "Hey," she said warmly. "How was your day?" "Pretty good," he said, kicking off his shoes. "Yours?" "Busy, but good." She shifted to make room for him. "Anything interesting happen?" He sat beside her. "I invited my friends over Saturday. Pool day." Her face brightened. "That's great. You haven't seen them in forever." "Yeah," he said. "It's been a while." She didn't look worried or suspicious. She didn't connect it to her coffee plans. She didn't read into his tone because there was nothing to read. He wasn't hiding anything, and she wasn't expecting anything. "Maybe I'll join you after coffee," she said casually. "If you're still hanging out." "Sure," he said. "We'll see how long they stay." She leaned against him, comfortable and unaware of any deeper meaning. Trent rested his arm along the back of the couch, feeling the familiar ease settle between them. He didn't know where things were headed, but he knew one thing: clarity mattered. And Saturday would bring some. Chapter 2. The coffee date that isn't a date. Saturday arrived with the kind of bright, easy sunlight that made Trent's backyard look like a postcard. He stepped outside with a towel slung over his shoulder, the pool water glinting blue and calm. He hadn't hosted anything in months, and the quiet anticipation felt good, steady, uncomplicated. Inside, Katy was finishing her coffee at the kitchen counter, dressed casually in jeans and a soft green top. She looked relaxed, not rushed, not nervous, just ready for her morning. Heading out soon? Trent asked, grabbing a bottle of water from the fridge. Yeah, she said, slipping her phone into her purse. Mark texted that he's already there, so I'll head over in a few. Gotcha, she smiled. You excited to see your friends? Yeah, he said honestly. It's been a while. I bet they'll be thrilled. She reached up and kissed his cheek. I'll be back in a couple hours. All right, drive safe. She waved as she left, the door clicking shut behind her. No tension, no suspicion, no awareness of any deeper meaning. She wasn't thinking about boundaries or optics or anything beyond a simple coffee meetup. And Trent didn't fault her for that. People didn't always see the same lines until someone pointed them out. He stepped outside again, letting the warm air settle around him. A few minutes later, he heard the familiar sound of Maya's laugh drifting from the side gate. Trent, she called, pushing it open with her hip while carrying a bag of snacks. Your favorite people have arrived. Elise followed behind her, sunglasses perched on her head, and Jordan trailed last with a cooler that looked far too heavy for its size. Trent grinned. You three travel like you're preparing for a natural disaster. Jordan dropped the cooler with a dramatic groan. Snacks are essential. Hydration is essential. Sunscreen is essential. I am essential. You're dramatic, Elise said, nudging him with her elbow. And essential, Jordan repeated. Trent laughed, the sound coming easily. Good to see you guys. Maya stepped forward and hugged him tightly. You disappeared. I was about to send a search party. Relationship rules, he said lightly. You know how it goes. Yeah, she said, waving a hand. But we still missed you. They settled into the backyard, spreading towels, opening bags, and immediately falling into the kind of chaotic chatter that only longtime friends could manage. Trent felt the familiar comfort of it, the way they teased each other, the way they filled silence without forcing it. Elise kicked off her sandals and dipped her toes into the pool. You've been keeping this place too quiet. It needs noise. Consider that problem solved, Maya said, already rummaging through her snack bag. I brought chips, fruit, and something called sparkling cucumber water. Jordan stared at her. Why? Because I'm adventurous. Because you're a menace, Elise corrected. Trent leaned back in his chair, watching them bicker with a fondness he didn't bother hiding. This was what he'd missed. Not romance, not drama, not tension. Just the simplicity of people who knew him better than anyone else. So, Maya said, tossing him a bottle of water. How's life? How's Katy? Good, he said. We're good. Jordan raised an eyebrow. That sounded very neutral. Trent shrugged. We're steady. Nothing dramatic. Elise floated on a pool lounger, squinting at him. You're a terrible liar. I'm not lying, Trent said, amused. I'm just not dramatic. Fine, Maya said, pointing at him. Then tell us something non-dramatic but interesting. He considered that for a moment. She's meeting a coworker for coffee this morning. All three women paused. Maya blinked. Like, a coworker? Yeah. Male coworker? Elise asked. Yeah. Jordan sat up straighter. And you're fine. I'm not upset, Trent said. I'm just clear on what it means. Maya exchanged a look with Elise. Does she know what it means? No, Trent said simply. She didn't think anything of it. Jordan whistled softly. Man, you're calm. I'd be flipping tables. That's because you're dramatic, Elise said. Jordan pointed at her. Essentially dramatic. Trent chuckled. It's not a fight. It's just information. If she thinks it's fine, then the rules are different than I thought. Maya leaned back on her elbows. So you invited us over? Yeah. Not to make a point, Elise said, watching him carefully. No, Trent said. Just to keep things balanced. I'm not sitting home alone while she's out with someone else. That's not how relationships work. Jordan nodded slowly. You're not wrong. Maya tossed him a chip. You're also not petty. That helps. I'm not trying to be, Trent said. I just want clarity. They fell into a comfortable silence for a moment, the kind that didn't need filling. The sun warmed the patio, the pool rippled gently, and Trent felt something settle inside him. Something like confirmation that he wasn't overthinking anything. Elise paddled her float closer to him. You're handling this better than most people would. Respect matters, Trent said. If the boundaries aren't mutual, then they aren't boundaries. Jordan nodded. You always were the philosopher of the group. Maya snorted. He's the only one with impulse control. True, Elise said. I once bought a kayak at 2 in the morning. Jordan pointed at her. And you don't even like water. Exactly. Trent laughed again, shaking his head. I missed you guys. We know, Maya said, grinning. We're delightful. They spent the next hour swimming, talking, and teasing each other. Trent felt lighter than he had in weeks. Not because anything had been solved, but because he was surrounded by people who understood him without needing explanations. Around noon, his phone buzzed with a text from Katy. Katy, coffee went well. Heading home soon. Trent read it, nodded to himself, and slipped the phone back into his pocket. Whatever conversation came next, he was ready for it. Chapter 3, Advice, Warnings, and Realizations. Katy didn't think about the coffee meetup at first. She drove home with the windows cracked, humming along to the radio, feeling productive and pleasantly tired. The morning had been simple, work talk, project ideas, nothing personal. She wasn't replaying anything in her mind because nothing had felt strange. But when she stepped into the kitchen and heard laughter drifting from the backyard, Trent's laughter, bright and unguarded, something nudged at her thoughts. Not guilt, not worry, just a small, quiet awareness she couldn't name yet. She peeked out the window. Trent was in the pool with Jordan, splashing water at him while Maya shouted instructions about sunscreen, and Elise floated lazily on a lounger. They looked like they belonged there, like they'd been waiting months for this day. She smiled. She didn't feel jealous. She didn't feel threatened. She just felt thoughtful. She poured herself a glass of water and sat at the kitchen table. The quiet pressed around her, gentle but insistent. Something about the morning tugged at her, but she couldn't articulate it. Trent hadn't acted upset. He hadn't acted distant. He hadn't acted anything except normal. So why did she keep thinking about it? She didn't know, and she didn't like not knowing. Her father was good at helping her untangle things she couldn't quite see clearly. He didn't jump to conclusions. He didn't assume. He listened first. She picked up her phone and dialed him. He answered with his usual warmth. "Hey, sweetheart." "Hey, Dad," she said, trying to sound casual. "Do you have a minute?" "Of course. What's going on?" She hesitated. "I don't really know. Something's bothering me, but I'm not sure why." "All right," he said gently. "Start from the beginning." She exhaled slowly. "I had coffee with a coworker this morning." "Okay," he said, neutral. "Work stuff." "Yeah." He wanted to talk through a project idea. "All right. And what part is bothering you?" She rubbed her forehead. "I told Trent about it yesterday." "Okay." He didn't react. Her father paused. "Did you expect him to?" "No," she said honestly. "But I keep thinking about it anyway." "What about it?" She swallowed. "I didn't think about how it might look until after. And now I'm wondering if I should have." Her father's voice stayed calm. "Did Trent say anything that made you think he was upset?" "No," she said. "He was completely normal." "Did he seem distant?" "No." "Did he question you?" "No." Her father hummed thoughtfully. "Then it sounds like you're trying to understand the situation, not fix a problem." "Maybe," she said softly. "What exactly feels off to you?" She took a breath. I didn't consider the optics. I didn't think about how it might look to him. And now I'm wondering if I should have." Her father didn't jump ahead. He didn't assume. He simply asked, "Do you think he misunderstood your intentions?" "No," she said. "I don't think he thinks anything bad. I just didn't think about it." Her father's tone softened. "Katy, you're not wrong for having coffee with a coworker. But sometimes the meaning of something isn't in the action. It's in how it fits into a relationship. Trent is thoughtful. He pays attention. If he didn't react, it's because he didn't want to make you uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean he didn't notice." She nodded slowly. "I want to understand it better." "Then talk to him," her father said. "He's steady. He'll tell you exactly what he thinks." She smiled faintly. "I will. Thanks, Dad. Love you." "Love you too." She hung up, feeling clearer but still wanting another perspective. Her brother was blunt, sometimes too blunt, but he never sugarcoated things. She dialed him next. He answered immediately. "Yo, I had coffee with a coworker," she said. "Okay. A male coworker." "Okay. And I told Trent." "Okay. And he didn't react." Her brother paused. "All right. What's the part that's bothering you?" "I didn't think about how it might look." "Ah," he said. "Now we're getting somewhere." She sighed. "I didn't mean anything by it." "I know," he said. "But Trent's a respectful guy. He's not going to freak out or accuse you of anything. But he's also not blind." "I didn't think of it as a date." "Because it wasn't," he said. "But it looked like one." She closed her eyes. "I feel dumb." "You're not dumb," he said firmly. "You're learning. And Trent's the kind of guy who won't punish you for it. He'll just wait to see if you understand why it might matter." She sat quietly for a moment. "I want to talk to him." "Good," her brother said. "Because he's worth talking to." She hung up and walked to the back door again. Trent was laughing, splashing water at Jordan, completely unaware of the thoughts swirling in her head. She didn't feel afraid of the conversation they needed to have. She felt ready. Chapter 4. The pool party. The backyard was already loud by the time Trent stepped outside with a tray of drinks. Sunlight shimmered across the pool, and the air carried the familiar scent of sunscreen, citrus, and whatever strange sparkling beverage Maya had decided to inflict on everyone. His friends had settled in like they owned the place because in a way they always had. Jordan stood at the pool's edge, stretching like he was preparing for a triathlon. Elise floated on a lounger, sunglasses perched on her nose, looking serene enough to be mistaken for a spa advertisement. Maya sat cross-legged on a towel, sorting snacks with the seriousness of a surgeon. Trent set the tray down. All right, I've got water, lemonade, and whatever questionable concoction Maya brought. Maya held up a can proudly. Sparkling cucumber lime. It's refreshing. Jordan frowned. It tastes like disappointment. Elise raised her hand lazily. I'll try it. I enjoy suffering. Trent laughed. You three haven't changed. Consistency is key, Maya said, opening a bag of chips. Jordan pointed at Trent. You're the one who vanished for months. We're the stable ones. I didn't vanish, Trent said. I was giving space. Elise paddled her float closer. We know, and we respect it. But we also reserve the right to complain dramatically. Jordan nodded. It's in the friendship charter. Maya added, Article 3, subsection B, dramatic whining is permitted when Trent goes into relationship hibernation. Trent shook his head, amused. I missed you guys. They grinned, satisfied. The conversation drifted easily. Updates on work, stories about neighbors, a long rant from Jordan about a disastrous date involving a karaoke machine and a fog machine that refused to stop. Trent listened, relaxed, letting their voices fill the space he hadn't realized had grown quiet over the past year. After a while, Maya nudged him with her foot. So, Katy's cool with us being here. Yeah, Trent said. She didn't mind. Good, Maya said. We don't want to cause trouble. You never do, Trent said. That's why the rules work. Jordan nodded. We step back when you're in a relationship. You step back when we're in one. Keeps things clean. Elise tilted her head. But it's nice to be here again. It is, Trent agreed. They fell into a comfortable silence, the kind only longtime friends could share. Trent leaned back in his chair, watching sunlight ripple across the water. He felt grounded, balanced, clear. Maya broke the quiet. So, Katy's coffee thing. You okay? Trent didn't flinch. Yeah. Jordan raised an eyebrow. You're calm. I am, Trent said. It's not about jealousy. It's about boundaries. Elise nodded thoughtfully. You're not wrong. I'm not upset with her, Trent said. She didn't do anything malicious. She just didn't think about how it might look. Maya tossed him a chip. Most people don't think about optics until someone points them out. Exactly, Trent said. I'm not punishing her. I'm not making a point. I'm just keeping things balanced. Jordan leaned back. You're handling it better than 90% of the population. Trent shrugged. I've learned a few things. Elise smiled. You've always been good at knowing what you want. Or at least what I don't want, Trent said. They laughed again, and the conversation shifted to lighter topics. Elise's disastrous attempt at paddleboarding, Maya's obsession with a new cooking show, Jordan's claim that he could absolutely win a hot pepper eating contest despite all evidence to the contrary. Time passed easily. Trent felt the tension he hadn't realized he'd been carrying dissolve into the warm air. Inside the house, through the kitchen window, he could see a faint movement. Katy passing by, probably grabbing a drink or heading to the living room. She didn't come outside. She didn't hover. She didn't interrupt. She was giving him space, just as he had given her earlier. He appreciated that. Jordan followed his gaze. She's staying inside? Yeah, Trent said. She figured today was for us. Maya nodded. Smart woman. Elise smiled. Respect goes both ways. Trent felt something settle inside him. Something steady. Something hopeful. Whatever conversation he and Katy needed to have later, he wasn't worried. They were moving toward clarity. Together. Chapter 5. Coffee, clarity, and conversations. Katy waited until Trent's friends had left before approaching the conversation she'd been turning over in her mind all afternoon. She didn't hover near the back door or listen in on their laughter. She let them have their time. She stayed inside, reading, pacing a little, thinking more than she expected to. By the time the backyard quieted and the sound of the gate clicked shut behind the last goodbye, she felt ready. Trent came in through the sliding door, towel draped over his shoulder, hair damp, expression relaxed. He looked like himself, steady, calm, comfortable. She loved that about him. She always had. Hey, she said from the kitchen, closing the book she hadn't really been reading. He smiled. Hey, you have a good morning. Yeah, she said. Productive. He nodded and grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge. Good. She watched him take a drink, watched the way he moved, unhurried, thoughtful. She didn't feel nervous. She didn't feel defensive. She just felt ready to understand something she hadn't understood before. Can we talk? She asked. Trent didn't tense or pause. He simply nodded. Sure. They sat at the kitchen table, the late afternoon light softening the room. Trent rested his forearms on the table, open and attentive. He wasn't bracing for anything. He wasn't expecting a fight. He was just present. Katy took a breath. I talked to my dad and my brother today. Trent raised his eyebrows slightly, not in alarm, just curiosity. Yeah? I wasn't upset, she said quickly. Nothing was wrong. I just wanted to understand something. He nodded once, encouraging her to continue. When I told you about coffee with Mark yesterday, you didn't react. You didn't look bothered. You didn't ask questions. She paused. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. But later, I started wondering if I should have thought about it more. Trent didn't interrupt. He didn't rush her. He simply listened. I didn't consider how it might look, she said softly. Not because I was hiding anything. I just didn't think about it. Trent leaned back slightly, thoughtful. I know you weren't hiding anything. She felt a small wave of relief, even though she hadn't been worried. I didn't think you thought I was. He nodded. I didn't. She folded her hands together. But I realized something. You're careful with boundaries. You're respectful. You don't make assumptions. And I think I stepped into a gray area without realizing it. Trent exhaled slowly, not in frustration but in acknowledgement. Yeah, it was a gray area. She met his eyes. I didn't mean for it to look like a date. I know, he said gently. But it did. She nodded, accepting that without flinching. My dad asked me what part bothered me, and I realized it wasn't your reaction. It was that I didn't think about how it might feel to you. Trent rested his hands on the table. I wasn't upset. I wasn't jealous. I just noticed. I know, she said. And that's what made me want to understand it better. He gave a small, appreciative smile. That means a lot. She took a breath. I want us to have the same boundaries. Not because I'm trying to control anything. Not because I think you're trying to control me. But because I want us to be aligned. Trent nodded slowly. That's all I want too. She leaned forward slightly. So, tell me what you think. Honestly. He didn't hesitate. I think private social time with someone of the opposite sex, coffee, lunch, whatever, can look like a date, even if it isn't. And I think if one of us does it, the other should be able to do it too. But I also think that's not how a relationship should work. She listened closely, absorbing every word. I'm not trying to limit you, he continued. I don't want to control who you talk to or work with. But I do want clarity. Mutual clarity. If something feels like a date, we should talk about it before it happens, not after. She nodded. That makes sense. And I don't want to sit home alone while you're out with someone else, he said. Not because I'm insecure. Because it's not balanced. She smiled faintly. That's fair. He looked at her carefully. What do you want? She didn't need to think long. I want us to keep private one-on-one time with other people out of the relationship. Unless it's family or someone we both know well. I want us to be clear. And I want us to talk about things before they happen. Trent's expression softened. I want that too. She reached across the table, and he took her hand without hesitation. I didn't feel accused, she said. I didn't feel judged. I just felt like I needed to understand something I hadn't thought about. And you did, he said. She smiled. And I'm glad you invited your friends over today. He chuckled. They missed me. I know, she said. And I'm glad you had that time. He squeezed her hand gently. We're good. We are, she agreed. The conversation ended not with tension, not with uncertainty, but with clarity. Mutual, steady, and earned. They stood, moved to the couch, and settled together in the quiet of the evening. No drama, no lingering doubts, just two people choosing to understand each other better. And Trent felt something warm settle in his chest. They were aligned. Finally, fully aligned. Chapter 6. Alignment. Sunday morning arrived quietly, the kind of soft, slow morning that made everything feel a little clearer. Trent woke before Katy, lying still for a moment and letting the quiet settle around him. Yesterday had been good, better than he expected. His friends had filled the house with laughter, and the conversation with Katy afterward had been steady, honest, and without friction. He appreciated that. He appreciated her. He slipped out of bed, made coffee, and sat at the kitchen table with his mug warming his hands. He wasn't waiting for anything. He wasn't bracing for anything. He was simply thinking about boundaries, about respect, about how relationships worked when both people were willing to understand instead of defend. Katy padded into the kitchen a few minutes later, hair tousled, eyes still soft with sleep. She smiled when she saw him. Morning, morning, he said, returning the smile. She poured herself coffee and sat across from him, pulling her knees up slightly in the chair. You okay? Yeah, he said. You? Yeah. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, sipping coffee, letting the morning breathe around them. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't heavy. It was simply quiet in the way two people could be quiet when they trusted each other. Katy set her mug down. I've been thinking. Trent nodded. Me too. She took a breath. I want to understand your friends better. Not because I'm worried. I'm not. I just want to know the people who matter to you. Trent leaned back slightly, surprised but pleasantly so. You will. When the time's right. She nodded. Yesterday wasn't the right time. I didn't want to interrupt. I appreciated that, he said. They did too. She smiled faintly. They seem fun. They are, he said. They're also loyal. And they're careful. They've never crossed a line. I know, she said. I could see that even from inside. He raised an eyebrow. You were watching. She shrugged, a little sheepish. A little. Through the window. I wanted to see what they were like. Trent chuckled. Fair enough. She rested her chin on her hand. They're important to you. They are, he said. They've been in my life since kindergarten. They're basically family. And you step back when you're in a relationship, she said softly. Yeah, he said. Out of respect. For you. For them. For the relationship. She nodded slowly. I understand that now. Trent watched her carefully. Not suspiciously, not protectively, just attentively. She wasn't defensive. She wasn't apologizing. She was learning. And he respected that more than anything. I want us to be aligned, she said. Not just on boundaries. On everything. Me too, he said. She took another breath. Can we talk about long-term stuff? Trent didn't tense. He didn't freeze. He didn't panic. He simply nodded. Yeah, we can. She looked relieved. I don't mean rushing. I don't mean making decisions today. I just want to know what direction we're walking. Trent set his mug down. I want a future with someone who respects me. Someone I respect. Someone who communicates. Someone who doesn't expect me to guess what they're thinking. She nodded. I want that too. I want a partnership, he continued. Not control. Not rules that only apply to one person. I want clarity. I want honesty. I want alignment. Katy's eyes softened. I can do that. You already are, he said. She reached across the table and he took her hand. Her fingers were warm, steady, certain. I want to meet your friends, she said. Not today. Not tomorrow. But soon. They'll love you, Trent said. They already like you. She laughed softly. They don't even know me. They know I'm happy, he said. That's enough for them. She squeezed his hand. I want to be part of your world. All of it. You will be, he said. They sat quietly again. But this time the silence felt different. Fuller, warmer, threaded with something like promise. Later, they went for a walk around the neighborhood. They talked about childhood memories, about future hopes, about what they wanted their lives to look like in 5 years. Nothing dramatic. Nothing rushed. Just steady steps and steady conversation. At one point, Katy stopped and looked at him. I didn't realize how much clarity mattered until yesterday. Trent smiled. It makes everything easier. It does, she said. And I want to keep doing that. I want us to talk about things before they become problems. We will, he said. They continued walking, hand in hand, the afternoon warm and bright around them. Trent felt something settle inside him. Not a decision, not a conclusion, but a direction. They were aligned. Not perfectly yet. Not completely, but genuinely. And that was enough. Chapter 7, Growth. Katy didn't rush the next step. She didn't wake up Monday morning with a sudden burst of determination or a dramatic epiphany. Instead, she moved through her day with a quiet, steady intention. One that had been forming ever since she'd watched Trent laughing with his friends through the kitchen window. She wanted to meet them, not because she felt threatened, not because she felt obligated, but because she wanted to understand the people who shaped Trent's life long before she entered it. She wanted to know the parts of him that existed outside their relationship, the parts that made him who he was. By Tuesday evening, she felt ready. Trent was sitting on the couch, scrolling through something on his phone when she approached. He looked up immediately, attentive as always. Hey, she said, settling beside him. Hey, he said, setting his phone aside. You okay? Yeah, she said. I've been thinking. He smiled faintly. That seems to be a theme lately. She nudged his shoulder. A good theme. Agreed. She took a breath. I want to meet your friends. Trent didn't look surprised. He didn't look nervous. He simply nodded once, slowly, thoughtfully. Okay. I don't want it to feel forced, she said. Or like I'm trying to prove something. I just want to know them. You will, he said. They'll want to know you too. She tucked her hair behind her ear. Do you think they'll be comfortable with it? Trent leaned back, considering. They're careful. They respect boundaries. But they also trust me. And they'll trust you. She felt a warm ease settle in her chest. Good. He reached for her hand. I'll text them. We'll set something up. She squeezed his fingers. Thank you. They chose Friday evening, casual, simple, no pressure. Trent suggested a small get-together at his place. Katy agreed. She didn't want a restaurant or a public space. She wanted something quiet, something real. When Friday arrived, she found herself standing in front of the hallway mirror, adjusting her shirt for the third time. She wasn't nervous, exactly. She just wanted to make a good impression. Not perfect, just honest. Trent stepped into the hallway, watching her with a soft smile. You look great, she exhaled. I feel like I'm meeting your family. You kind of are, he said. But they're not going to interrogate you. She raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? He chuckled. Jordan might, but only because she interrogates everyone. Katy laughed, tension easing. Okay, I can handle Jordan. You can handle all of them, Trent said. Trust me. She did. The doorbell rang at 6:30. Trent opened it to reveal Maya, Elise, and Jordan standing on the porch with the same chaotic energy they'd brought to the pool party. Bags of snacks, mismatched drinks, and a level of enthusiasm that made Katy smile despite herself. Maya stepped forward first. "Hi, Katy, right?" "Yes," Katy said. "It's nice to meet you." Maya hugged her without hesitation. Warm, quick, friendly. "We've heard good things." Elise offered a gentle smile. "Mostly good things." Jordan exaggerates. Jordan pointed at herself. "I only exaggerate the boring parts." Katy laughed, instantly more comfortable. "I'm ready for whatever version you tell." Jordan grinned. "She's fun. I approve." Trent shook his head. "You don't get to approve anything." "I absolutely do," Jordan said, flipping her hair dramatically. They moved into the living room, settling onto couches and chairs. The atmosphere was easy, light teasing, quick jokes, and the kind of familiarity that came from years of shared history. Katy watched them for a moment, absorbing the dynamic. They weren't flirtatious. They weren't territorial. They weren't suspicious of her. They were protective of Trent, yes, but not in a way that excluded her. In a way that welcomed her into the circle if she fit. And she wanted to fit. Maya leaned forward. "So, Katy, tell us something about yourself. Something interesting." Katy smiled. "Interesting? I once tried to learn French because I thought it would make me look sophisticated." Elise perked up. "Did it work?" "No," Katy said. "I can say hello, goodbye, and the cat is sleeping. That's it." Jordan clapped. "That's more French than Trent knows." Trent raised a hand. "I know how to say baguette." "That's not impressive," Maya said. "It's a useful word," Trent countered. Katy laughed, feeling herself relax fully for the first time. They were funny. They were warm. They were exactly the kind of people Trent would choose to keep in his life. As the evening went on, the conversation shifted to childhood stories, some embarrassing, some ridiculous, all told with affection. Katy listened, fascinated, as she learned about Trent's disastrous attempt at skateboarding, Maya's glitter obsession in 3rd grade, Elisa's brief phase of wanting to be a magician, and Jordan's ongoing feud with a goose at the local park. At one point, Maya nudged Katy gently. "He's a good one, you know?" Katy glanced at Trent, who was arguing with Jordan about whether a goose could hold a grudge. "Yeah," she said softly. "I know." Elise smiled. "We're glad you're here." Jordan nodded. "Yeah, you fit." Katy felt warmth bloom in her chest. Unexpected, steady, welcome. "Thank you." Trent looked over at her then, catching her expression. His eyes softened, and she felt something pass between them, something quiet and certain. She wasn't just meeting his friends. She was becoming part of his world, and she liked it. Later, after everyone left and the house was quiet again, Trent turned to her. "How do you feel?" She smiled. "Good. Really good. They liked you." "I liked them too." He stepped closer, brushing a thumb along her cheek. "I'm glad." She leaned into his touch. "Me too." They stood there for a moment, the evening settling around them like a warm blanket. No tension, no uncertainty, just two people moving forward, step by step with clarity and trust. They were growing, together. Chapter 8, The Future We Choose. Saturday mornings had a way of revealing things. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly, like sunlight slipping through blinds. Trent woke with that feeling, the sense that something was shifting, not because of a single moment but because of all the moments that had led here. The conversations, the clarity, the laughter, the boundaries they'd built together. Felt like momentum, steady and earned. Katy stirred beside him, stretching before rolling onto her side. Her hair was a soft mess, her eyes still heavy with sleep, but she smiled when she saw him watching her. "Morning. Morning," he said, brushing a thumb across her cheek. She scooted closer, tucking herself against him. "We should get up." "We should," he agreed, making no move to do so. She laughed quietly. 5 more minutes. Deal." They stayed like that, wrapped in quiet comfort until the 5 minutes stretched into 10. Eventually, Katy pushed herself upright, tying her hair back as she headed toward the kitchen. Trent followed, leaning against the counter while she started the coffee maker. She glanced at him over her shoulder. "You're staring." "Admiring," he corrected. She rolled her eyes, but her smile gave her away. "You're impossible." "Accurate." She poured 2 mugs and handed him one. "So, I've been thinking." Trent's eyebrows lifted slightly. "About us," she said. "Where we're going." He didn't tense. He didn't brace. He simply waited. "I don't want to rush anything," she said. "But I also don't want to drift. I want to know what direction we're walking." Trent nodded slowly. "Me too." She took a breath. "I want a future with you." He felt something warm settle in his chest. "I want that too." She looked relieved, but not surprised. "Good." They sat at the table, coffee warming their hands, sunlight warming the room. "I've been thinking about moving in together," she said. "Not tomorrow, not next week, but soon." Trent considered that, not with hesitation but with care. "I'd like that." She smiled. "I thought you might." He reached across the table, taking her hand. I want us to build something real. Something steady. Something that doesn't rely on guessing or hoping. That's what I want too, she said. They talked for a long time about logistics, about timing, about what mattered most to each of them. It wasn't a dramatic conversation. It wasn't emotional in the explosive sense. It was calm, thoughtful, and full of small moments of understanding. At one point, Katy paused. Can I ask you something? Of course. When you invited your friends over, were you trying to make a point? No, Trent said. I was keeping things balanced. I wasn't going to sit home alone while you were out with someone else. But I wasn't trying to hurt you. She nodded. I didn't feel hurt. I just realized I hadn't thought about how things looked. And now you have, he said. That's what matters. She squeezed his hand. I'm glad we talked. Me too. They finished their coffee, cleaned up the kitchen, and spent the afternoon walking through a nearby park. They talked about childhood memories, future hopes, and the kind of life they wanted to build. Nothing rushed, nothing forced, just steady steps and steady conversation. As they walked, Katy slipped her hand into his. You know, she said softly, I didn't understand how important clarity was until all of this. It makes everything easier, Trent said. It does, she agreed. And I want to keep doing that. I want us to talk about things before they become problems. We will, he said. They stopped near a small pond, watching ducks glide across the water. Katy leaned her head against his shoulder. Trent, yeah, I'm really happy. He smiled. Me too. She turned to face him fully, her eyes warm and certain. I want to build a life with you. Trent didn't hesitate. Then let's do that. She kissed him, soft, steady, full of promise. And Trent knew with absolute clarity that they were choosing each other deliberately. Not by default, not by convenience, but because they were aligned in every way that mattered. They were walking the same direction. Together. Epilogue. A few years later, the late afternoon sun settled gently over the small outdoor venue, casting warm gold across rows of white chairs and the soft curve of the arbor draped in flowers. It was the kind of day people hoped for when they planned a wedding. Clear sky, easy breeze, and a feeling in the air that something good was unfolding. Trent stood near the front, adjusting the cuffs of his suit while trying not to smile too widely. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't overwhelmed. He was simply ready. Ready in the way a man becomes when every step that led here made sense. Behind him stood his three best friends, Maya, Elise, and Jordan, each in matching dresses that suited their personalities perfectly. Maya's was bold, Elise's elegant, Jordan's dramatic in a way only she could pull off. They weren't bridesmaids. They weren't groomsmen. They were his best women, and the title fit them as naturally as their laughter. Jordan nudged him lightly. You're grinning like you won the lottery. I did, Trent said. Maya smirked. Smooth. Elise leaned in. She's going to cry when she sees you. She better not, Jordan said. I didn't bring waterproof mascara. Trent chuckled, shaking his head. You three are impossible. And essential, Maya said. He didn't argue. The music shifted, soft and warm, and everyone turned as Katy stepped into view. She wore a dress that made her look like she'd stepped out of a dream, simple, elegant, and entirely her. Her father walked beside her, proud and steady, and her brother stood near the aisle with a grin that said he approved of every choice she'd made. But Katy only saw Trent. Her smile grew, slow and certain, and Trent felt something tighten in his chest. Not nerves, not fear, just the overwhelming recognition that this was the woman he had chosen, and she had chosen him right back. When she reached him, her father squeezed her hand once before stepping aside. Trent took her hands gently, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. You look incredible, he said softly. You look happy, she replied. I am. The ceremony unfolded with laughter woven between vows, the kind of warmth that came from two people who had built their relationship on clarity instead of confusion, respect instead of assumption, and steady growth instead of rushed promises. When it came time for the rings, Jordan handed them over with a flourish. Don't drop them, she whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Elise elbowed her. He's not going to drop them, Maya added. If he does, we'll blame Jordan. Katy laughed, eyes bright, and Trent felt the moment settle into his memory permanently. Their vows were simple, honest words spoken without theatrics. I promise to walk with you, Trent said. Not ahead of you, not behind you, just with you. Katy's voice was steady. I promise to choose clarity with you, to talk, to listen, to grow, to respect the life we build together. When the officiant pronounced them married, Trent kissed her with the kind of certainty that only comes from knowing you've built something real. The reception was a blur of laughter, dancing, and stories. Katy found herself surrounded by Trent's friends, her friends now, each of them welcoming her with the same warmth they'd shown the night she first met them. Maya hugged her tightly. You're officially stuck with us. Elise smiled. We're honored to be part of your day. Jordan raised her glass. And for the record, I didn't cry. Much. Katy laughed, wiping a tear of her own. I'm glad you're here. All of you. Jordan leaned in. We always knew he'd pick someone who fit. Katy glanced toward Trent, who was talking with her father and brother, animated and relaxed. I fit because he made space for me, and because you never made me feel like I had to compete. Maya nodded. There was never anything to compete with. Elise added, we're his friends. You're his future. Katy felt her chest warm. Thank you. Later, Trent found her standing near the edge of the dance floor, watching the lights twinkle overhead. Hey, he said, slipping an arm around her waist. Mrs. Williams, she smiled. Hey, how are you feeling? Happy, she said. Completely. He kissed her temple. Me too. She looked at Maya, Elise, and Jordan laughing together nearby. I finally understand, she said softly. They're part of you, and they bring out the best in you. They always have, Trent said. And they love you. I love them too, she said. And I trust them. Completely. Trent turned her gently toward him. We built this right. We did, she agreed. They stepped onto the dance floor, moving together in easy rhythm, surrounded by the people who had shaped their lives. No jealousy, no uncertainty, no lingering doubts, just trust, just clarity, just love built on respect. And as the evening settled into night, Katy rested her head against Trent's shoulder, knowing with absolute certainty that their paths weren't just aligned, they were one.